Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back. Today we are taking a deep dive you requested into Surah An-Tura,
Assalamu
a
alaikum.
beautiful and comforting chapter from the Quran.
Yes, definitely a very comforting chapter.
And we will go through it verse by verse like you asked for.
Right.
But also, and I think this will be good for all of us, to take a look at the philosophical kind of connections between the verses and the broader message
Absolutely.
of the surah as a whole.
Very profound surah. Although it's short, it's only 11 verses, but it's packed with meaning.
It is packed with meaning.
Yeah.
Actually, just starting right off the bat, in the first two verses,
Yeah.
it says, by the morning brightness and by the night when it covers with darkness. Even just reading those first two lines, I feel like there's a lot of impact, even just in those two lines.
I think it's interesting how the Quran often uses natural imagery as a starting point for reflection.
Right.
And if you think about, what it's saying, it's talking about the morning brightness, so the start of a new day, right? And then the night when it covers with darkness, it's evoking that cyclical nature of time.
Yeah.
The contrast between light and darkness, day and night.
That's exact.
And it sets a tone of contemplation, like right from the beginning. It's prompting us to consider the grand scheme of things.
Yes, and also it's making me think too about the importance of time in Islam and the fact that
Absolutely.
that morning, that time of day is specifically, important for the Fajr prayer.
Right.
So it's interesting that this surah starts with that time of day.
It is interesting that it's specifically mentioning that time of day.
Right.
Because you're right, it is when Muslims start their day with the Fajr prayer, and it's a time for renewal, a time for drawing closer to Allah.
Exactly. And so then moving on to verses 3 to 5, we get this shift in focus where it says, your Lord has not taken leave of you, O Muhammad, nor has he detested you. And the hereafter is better for you than the first life. And your Lord is going to give you, and you will be satisfied.
Yeah, beautiful verses.
Very powerful. And these are addressed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Yes.
But I think that the message of these verses resonates with believers all throughout time.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember the context in which these verses were revealed.
Right.
The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was experiencing a period of intense hardship at the time.
Right.
He was facing rejection, he was facing hostility.
Yeah.
And these verses come as a direct message of reassurance from Allah.
Exactly.
Reminding him that he is not forsaken.
Right.
And that the ultimate reward lies beyond this worldly life.
Right. And it's interesting that you mentioned that the hereafter is better than the first life.
Yeah.
And this is obviously a concept that's central to Islam. But how have scholars interpreted this comparison? Because is it purely about material reward, or is there a deeper kind of spiritual dimension to what this means?
That's a really profound question. And while the hereafter certainly encompasses material blessings that are beyond our imagination, the emphasis in Islamic teachings is really on the spiritual fulfillment that it offers.
Right.
Being in the presence of Allah, free from the pains and limitations of this world.
Right.
This promise offers solace even in the midst of unimaginable hardship that we might face in this life.
Very true. Very true. So moving on to verses 6 through 8, we get this really moving, I would say, series of questions where it says, did he not find you an orphan and give you shelter? And he found you lost and guided you. And he found you poor and made you self-sufficient. It's almost like a gentle reminder of all the ways that Allah has cared for his prophet, peace be upon him.
Precisely. It's not just a historical account, but a powerful reminder for all believers to reflect on the blessings in their own lives.
Yes.
It's so easy to get caught up in what we lack, but these verses prompt us to look back and recognize the countless ways that Allah has guided us, protected us, and provided for us, even when we were unaware.
Right, even when we weren't even realizing it. Yeah, and I think that this is calling us to cultivate that constant awareness of Allah's blessings.
Absolutely.
This idea of shukr, gratitude, which is so central to Islamic teachings. But then we get this striking, I would say, shift in tone at verses 9 and 10, where it says, so as for the orphan, do not oppress him. And as for the beggar, do not repel him. So we go from reflecting on personal blessings to this call to action to extend that compassion outwards.
Right. You know what's so fascinating is how seamlessly the Surah connects these two themes.
Right.
It's as though reflecting on Allah's blessings is inherently linked to acting with kindness and justice towards others.
Right.
Especially the most vulnerable in society.
Yeah.
You know, caring for orphans, caring for those in need isn't just an option. It's a direct manifestation of our faith and gratitude.
Right. It's a reminder, I think, that Islam isn't just about personal piety, but it's also about building a just and compassionate society. And then we reach the final verse, verse 11, which is so powerful in its simplicity. It just says, and proclaim the blessings of your Lord. What does that mean for us practically, beyond just general acts of kindness?
Yeah. That's a question really worth pondering, I think.
Yeah.
Because it encompasses so much more than just speaking about Allah's blessings.
Right.
It's about living a life that reflects those blessings.
Yeah.
A life of gratitude, a life of service, and sharing the beauty of Islam.
Yes.
Through our actions, our character, how we interact with the world.
Right.
It's a profound responsibility and an incredible honor.
So we've really journeyed through this surah from reflection to action, from personal comfort to this call to serve others. It's really a remarkable example, I think, of the depth and beauty of the Quran's teachings.
Indeed. And it leaves us with a profound message to carry forward.
Yes.
To remember Allah's blessings, to act with compassion and justice, and to share the beauty of our faith with the world.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into Surah.
Thank you.
May we all strive to embody its lessons in our lives.
Assalamu alaikum.